G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another episode of r/JustnoHOA. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a like on this video and a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good content. Posted by user Scott Stedman, titled, "My HOA fee is brutally high, while the HOA itself barely does anything. So I get my money's worth by sending the board members passive-aggressive letters monthly about things they've royally screwed up. Here are my favorites. Hi guys, why is there an $11.66 convenience fee for processing HOA payments online? This is indeed 2017, yes. Fandango has been around for 17 years, and their convenience fee is $1.50. It costs me an extra $139.92 per year to submit HOA payments electronically. That is 21 Chipotle burritos. 21. You clearly prefer me to mail you paper. Can you hear that sound? It's the environment screaming." This one's titled, "Neighbor has decided to gift me his shitty useless furniture." Hi guys, I live in unit number A306. My neighbor has recently decided to move and put the unit up for sale. The night he moved out, he left an enormous, shitty, old Walmart TV stand with packing tape holding the corners together on the landing, and he left a note on my door which reads, "Scott, I have a TV stand. Yours if you want it. The guy who wanted it on Craigslist did not show up." Not only do I have a very nice and trendy TV stand I paid a lot of money for, but I have no use for this colossal piece of trash that has been involuntarily bequeathed me. I know the days of breaking kneecaps are past, but is there a course of action which would result in this moron realizing that he can't just dump his trash on other people with no consequence? Thanks and happy Father's Day, a sentiment I do not wish upon my former neighbor. In fact, I hope his children forget what day it is, or at the very least, that he is sterile and wholly unable to experience the joys of being a father in the first place. Please see attached my picture of my new front patio furniture. Best wishes, Scott. Titled, "Your Website." Hi Ben. In a perfect world, I could simply log onto your website and pay my required dowry on this, the first of the month. Alas, your servers seem to be latently affected by the Y2K bug 17 years post-mortem. Attached is a screenshot of your web developer's failures. Please let me know when this is rectified so I can continue to pay for my 3-hour electricity shutoff notices while my fish are being slowly and agonizingly gassed while I am at work. Happy New Year! A few quick questions regarding home improvements. Hi Ben. I've been undergoing a few small home improvement projects, and I was curious if I'm allowed to access the crawl space above my unit, top floor in Brio. I have access to the space via the cutout in my bedroom. I assume this is a common area, and any improvements involving it would have to undergo a permit application. I'd like to install can lights throughout the unit. Just want to lay the groundwork so this is smooth. What would I need to do to be able to do that? Also, unrelated, that TV stand I was bitching about a few weeks ago is still there. Would you happen to have the number of the previous tenant I could contact to ask him about it? I understand you said the home sale is part of an estate sale, and as such, I don't really want to piss someone off in what I can assume is a trying time, but their tenant is a dick and needs to come pick up his useless furniture. Thanks in advance. Speak soon. Hi Ben. I do fear that the cordial manner and far more polite than usual tone of my previous email may have led you to believe that I'm not looking for a punctual response. However, I do want to assure you that it is certainly not the case. The more I am forced to wait for a simple yes and here's the number response to my email, the more I become disillusioned entirely with the idea of once again waiting 4 weeks for permission to modify the condo I dumped my life savings into. And the more inclined I become to simply start tearing holes in the ceiling to put aforementioned can lights in place. You remember the hardwood flooring permit request that took 4 weeks to respond to? I remember. Good times. Scott. No, that's fine. I'll copy my concerns here, and you can feel free to pass this along to whomever you feel is necessary. Over the past few weeks, someone has been taping printed 8.5 by 11 inch flyers to the landings of all the buildings, invariably and passive-aggressively addressing trivial matters to the vindictiveness that only being an out-of-work hairdresser with no other pressing concerns and freshly elected to the HOA board will provide. Therefore, I imagine the list of potential culprits by proxy is rather short. Admittedly, I found it to be a tremendous waste of time and trees when the board elected to send every member of the HOA a packet of papers detailing that there were exactly 2 vacant spots on the board with exactly 2 candidates running for it. However, I do respect the beauty of the democratic process and begrudgingly accept the fact that a vote is required to complete this process, however stupid it may seem. However, subsequently having a passive-aggressive note taped to the banister of the stairwell landing saying something to the effect of, "We cannot proceed with electing Dick and Daryl to the board until a simple majority of the HOA has cast a vote. So, submit your ballots now," really spilled some sand in my Cheerios. Not only does this undermine the core values of a democratic system by neglecting to consider that maybe I wasn't happy with Dick nor Daryl to begin with, as well as neglecting potential protest votes by virtue of abstention, it was also ugly. I took the liberty of removing the note as soon as it was posted. Thereafter, on July 4th, a note was put up that reminded all residents of the ostensibly groundbreaking news that fireworks were in fact not allowed to be shut off in a communal private residence. The efficacy of this note was also immediately demonstrated by the considerable firework litter across the parking lot the next morning, and I'm really glad to see that this was so effective to preventing morons from launching off fireworks. Finally, the following note was posted this morning, and I am copying this verbatim. Please break down boxes and put all garbage and recycling in containers. The recycling company will not pick up anything unless it is inside one of the blue recycling bins. Fines will be enforced if someone is caught dumping items next to or behind the containers. Please help keep this property clean. Thank you, Brio Management. Disregarding the capitalization graveyard and the palpable irony behind "please help keep this property clean," paired with the act of plastering a bunch of crap on every single stairwell notwithstanding, I do want to remark that the last time I saw a note of this caliber posted in any sort of public forum was my freshman year of college, when I lived in a building where stealing ramen and sandals was common. That time in my life was memorable, but now I'm an adult with things like a mortgage and eczema, and my friends now get excited over things like which mattress they've decided to purchase. By extension, I no longer think these passive-aggressive notes are effective forms of communication between productive adults. The stairwell is not a bulletin board. I have a very nice mailbox made of brass that I check semi-frequently that board members are welcome to drop notes in as you please. I also have a nice functioning email address, as you can see. I have contacted your office a few times to try and get a hold of the board members responsible for these notes. However, you do not release this information to residents, which is wholly understandable. However, until I am able to hold a two-way conversation with this person to ascertain their intentions, I will continue to remove every single note that gets posted up and throw it immediately into the garbage. It makes a very handsome community look like trash. Is this an overreaction? Probably. I wake up at 4:45 a.m. to start work by 7 a.m. and I get home at 10 p.m. most nights. So I'm usually not in the mood to deal with this tripe when I finally get home. Thank you in advance for forwarding this to whomever is responsible, and feel free to direct any further response on this directly to me if you'd like. I'm happy to open a dialogue. I'm in Unit A306, my cell number is listed below. Best, Scott. Quick question. I was not at the most recent HOA meeting. May I inquire as to why the monthly HOA payment has increased from $248 to $295? Hi guys, forwarding just in case you didn't see this. Ben, Cassandra, I sent my original inquiry as to the reason for the HOA dues increase on December 26th. It has now been 22 days with no response. I have tried taking the high road on this one, seeing as there is probably a legitimate, publicly voted upon, and utterly reasonable answer, and really I just want to be informed as to why it's going up. Admittedly, I do take some small modicum of pleasure in writing extended emails to you, as you're no doubt aware. but it does disappoint me to know that the only way I can adequately capture your attention enough to merit a response is to write some long-winded, vaguely asshole-ish email in the hopes that I'll raise your blood pressure enough to goad you into hitting the reply button. It is tiresome for me and annoying for you, but here we are, so buckle up. In fairness to you, and in an attempt to not deliberately waste your time, I did attempt to find the record of the HOA notes on the community website. However, there are startlingly few buttons on the site, over 80% of which include literally every single Services and Amenities button, default to a page that reads Error 503, this service is unavailable, which I find to be both ironic and oddly fitting. And one promising bit on the Frequently Asked Questions page, which reads, Records and reports of the association are available to the members based on law established under your state. For specific information on what is available to you as a member, please contact the management company. As that was a dead end, again, here we are. There are many reasons I can think of as to why the HOA payment has increased. The first that comes to mind is the expectation that the landscaping budget was appropriately underfunded last year, as was proved to me and the neighbors when the gardening company would arrive every other week to terrorize the neighborhood with gas-powered plant trimming tools at shockingly early hours of the morning. As my desk is in the upper and furthermost corner of the unit, I had a front row seat to watch the gentleman running the lawnmower take it upon himself to mow the dry dirt between the A-block. I use the term mow loosely. It is more accurate to say that he shot pine cones at high velocity at the wood siding of the building while running the mower over a patch of plant life that I hesitate to refer to as anything besides kindling. Doubly compounding this were the results of the yearly tree trim, after which the clippings and trimmed branches remained on the ground for 10 days before a crew came and removed them. The second reason that came to my mind while I was brainstorming ideas as to why the HOA payment has increased was for security increases. But that can't be true, since my car was broken into for the second time in as many months and smelled like hobo stank when I came to drive to work in the morning. I am happy to report that I no longer keep anything of value in my car, a lesson I learned the hard way back in August, when the lack of any appreciable security presence in the complex caused me to lose a pair of nice sunglasses and a Five Guys gift card, with around $40 on it. To your credit, there was once a security guard driving around in an SUV for a few nights who accused me of walking around weirdly, and then chastised me for not reporting the break-in immediately. As if Highway 99 adjacent condo complex wasn't reason enough to bolster security in and of itself. I appreciated his condescension though. I mentioned in a previous email that I calculate nearly everything in my life in terms of how many times I can go to Chipotle with the money saved, or how many times I am being restricted from visiting Chipotle with the money lost. In this particular case, the difference is $564. And that is an astounding amount of Chipotle. When I was an undergrad, I bought an entire orchestra Chipotle for one of my thesis rehearsals, and it didn't even cost me that much. And that included chips and salsa and guacamole. Do you understand the gravity of that? For the amount the HOA payment has gone up over the year, I could cater Chipotle for a group of no less than 70 people. All of this to say that, again, I am in tractable forbearance of this situation, provided there's a reason attached to it. As I stated in the original email December 26th, and the forwarded follow-up nearly 2 weeks later on January 11th, I just want to know why the HOA payment has increased by nearly 20%. I was not present at the yearly HOA meeting, and I refuse to ask my neighbor on next door, as I am not willing to involve myself in neighborly crises, such as, there was a strange Camry parked on the street for more than 4 hours today. Should I call the police? In conclusion, I would accept even the simplest, most dismissive responses such as, the HOA payment has increased by 18.5% due to insert reason here. A single sentence would placate me. I hope it's not asking too much. Thank you for your undoubtedly precious time. Scott. I won't lie, I really enjoyed reading that. There are some backstories. I will be happy to elaborate if you'd like. Cheers. Background. The original thread was deleted because the original screenshots contained my email address. Though I appealed this, it was submitted to the Reddit moderators who, hilariously, banned me for 7 days for posting personal information. The information in question being my email address, in screenshots which I took of my own email, which could never be traced back to my Reddit username, which is actually a clever alias I have concocted by using a random name generator, a name which does not actually exist in real life. The absolute irony of this turn of events taking place from a post I made on a subreddit dedicated to making fun of and ranting about the ridiculous rules that HOAs try to enact is not lost on me. Anyway, enjoy. Moderator reckons, hey, it wasn't us who banned you. I tried to ask the admins, who completely misunderstood what I was trying to do and basically covered up what they did as a response. Sorry. Interesting faces in reply to that. I'm interested in hearing some of any of their replies to your lovely emails. Unfortunately, their replies are all very G-rated, as I think they're very much aware of how little of a leg they have to stand on. Most of the replies are fairly standard, but I take joy in passing through whatever little digs they can reasonably get in their responses. Scott, as per our previous email, and then just replying with some 8-paragraph novel detailing exactly how screwed up they've made life for all the residents of the condos. I did once get into a fantastic argument regarding a Surface laptop I bought on Amazon a while ago, and I managed to pee off the sales rep something fierce. I will see if I can dig that one up if there's any interest. Not to be a tease, I'm going to cover that one again next episode. It is another saga. It is hilarious. How high is your HOA? When I moved in, it was $250 a month. It then increased to $295 a month after the first year, and has now increased subsequently to $352 a month, an increase of nearly 20% per year, which perfectly tracks with the concordant increase of fudging nothing, except for the ineptitude of the board. Sounds like embezzlement. Contact a lawyer? Lawyers are good at mailing paper. This is the actual... sorry about that, the devil just came out of me. This is the actual story for why it's that insane, which I typed out in the previous thread. The HOA fee increased by 20% per year over the last 3 years because when the HOA originally hired someone in the early 2000s to do repairs for all the unit balconies, the company took the money, repaired 6 balconies, and then promptly ghosted. Subsequently, these balconies were found during an inspection of the property to be wholly unsafe to even stand on, apparently, despite the fact that they've been bearing weight since 1979 with no issues whatsoever. I am not a contractor, and as such can't comment on the structural soundness of the balconies, but I don't doubt the efficacy of an inspector with a friend in construction looking for a quick job. So the HOA paid $40,000 for a contracting company to come in and tell the community how much repairs to all of the balconies would subsequently cost. The total of these repairs for the entire community came out to just over $2 million. Keep in mind, we haven't actually moved forward with these repairs yet. The $40K was literally just the cost of the inspection and quote. When this was brought up at the yearly HOA meeting, which is the only meeting I attend, they informed every resident that not only had they not gotten any of this in writing, but they hadn't actually gotten any information or breakdown whatsoever for what the entire quote would entail, except for what essentially amounts to a contractor handing them a fudging post-it note saying it'll cost $2 million. To account for this cost over the course of 2 years, which was the deadline for the repairs, they started aggressively raising the HOA dues. People went fudging ballistic in the HOA meeting. I had spent the prior almost 15 hours standing in the hospital where I do rotations, so I was already in a horrible mood. So I went on a 15-minute in-person rant, still standing in my dirty scrubs, about the sheer scale of irresponsibility of handing a fudging contracting company $40,000 to tell you it would cost you another $2 million to do repairs. We also found out that, as an inspection like this is reportable to the real estate board, several people who had their units listed for sale had their buyers informed of the potential $2 million special assessment coming within the 1 to 2 years, and the buyers backed out. Then, we found out, via word of mouth from one of the board members, that this assessment also included preemptively replacing the roof while they were at it when the roof was already replaced 3 years ago. So the contractor was padding the bill and hoping the community would blindly accept and just toss them a huge payday before they'd probably ghost the community too. Oh, and we have a tanning bed that cost $25,000. I am currently drafting up a multi-paragraph, sarcastic email detailing just how shockingly important it is to keep that maintained in fudging Seattle, Washington, and insisting that we never, ever sell that to try and recoup some of the money we lost by launching $40,000 via trebuchet at the first contracting company to insist that they'd never ever take advantage of a condo complex run by clueless frickwits. I knew this was Brio Linwood. Blech. There's no fudging where you live here too. No, I live in an equally tepid apartment complex on the east side, to be fair. But I work in the multi-family housing industry, and in particular, I sell my services to HOAs. More specifically, I sell water heaters, so oldish complexes are my best candidates. Kind of like the guys who sold your board the seismic retrofits, I've solicited your community before and had every bit as much luck reaching your board as you appear to. Yo, what's the water heater company name? It's not Fast Water Heaters, is it? The Water Heater Experts. So I guess take from that what you will. I'm going through a similar thing with my co-op board. I moved in a year ago, and since then there have been non-stop major emergencies. Units flooding, the entire heating system going out in December in all 3 buildings, the roof failing, and code violations aplenty. Our management company fired us for some mysterious, undisclosed reasons, and half the board resigned after we moved in. It turns out that for the last 40 years, we'd been getting nothing in writing from the contractors, HOA dues had barely budged, I'm talking about $5 per year increases. Major plumbing/heating issues had literally been repaired with glue and paper towels, and we had just been siphoning money from our emergency reserve to pay for outrageously expensive emergency fixes. I'd say the property is 80% retirees who inherited their units from their parents. It's a weird place, so the budget solution now is to just raise the dues in increasing percentages every year because they're planning on dying here, and screw everybody who has a mortgage and might want to actually sell in 15 years. All the young people want to do special assessments and to get it over with. But since we all have jobs and can't devote 1,000,000 hours a week to endless board meetings, we have zero power. Boomers strike again, I guess. Your co-op is almost a micro version of the United States being led by the boomers. Reading back over my comments, holy crap, it's almost a perfect representation, down to the boomers inheriting it from their parents back when everything was spiffy and financially solvent. Now I'm extra riled up for the board meeting tonight. Roast them good. They deserve it for running this HOA like they're 13 and mad at dad for making them take out the trash. Someone else says to that huge story, I'm a Strata, Canadian HOA president. We just had a moving truck hit one of our balconies. Total repair cost was $2,000, which was basically a gut and redo. Our condo fees are $350 to $390 a month. We run a 10% surplus on a $100,000 budget that goes into reserve. Critically, I give out my email. Does giving out your email help with transparency? Sorry, I missed the meaning behind why that helps. People can actually contact me with issues and I'll help them. I'm not here to be a bad guy. I'm here to protect everyone's investment. That is the beginning and end of the job. I literally don't give a flying frick about anything else. I rarely tow cars, issue noise violations, anything of that sort, because I usually just go and talk with them and take care of it. My god, a sensible HOA member? Never thought I'd see the day. And in response to the OP, yeah, I get it asks, I don't know crap about owning a home. What would happen if you just chose to not pay the fees? Bad things. You are, unfortunately, legally obligated to pay your HOA dues. It's part of an extensive contract you sign when purchasing. Does the other member of the HOA are okay with it? Maybe you could dissolve this idiocy with enough members. I've heard that there are some HOAs with bylaws that forbid dissolving the HOA without another HOA absorbing the neighborhood. So that would be a disaster. The key is to probably get a board in, change the bylaw about dissolving the board, then dissolve the board. It is also possible that clause is unenforceable. So here's someone arguing with OP. $350 for a monthly is reasonable for most any building. I see far higher where I live, and it's way less expensive here. It would be shockingly reasonable if the HOA responded diligently to concerns and otherwise did their basic duties. However, I dislike wadding up my money and throwing it down a hole and getting nothing but fart noises in return. And the last comments before I wrap this up, for part 2 to be released tomorrow. Jesus, what does your HOA even cover at that price? Mostly gardening, but not really, because it's Seattle, and landscaping upkeep is only realistically a thing for like 5 to 6 months out of the year. The gardeners did continue to show up one winter and mow the non-growing grass in November and December, if I recall correctly, which essentially amounted to running a gas mower over a dirt patch and then collecting a paycheck until I wrote an email about it, something to the effect of, if I wanted to listen to the din the gardeners made every Saturday at 5:30 a.m. when I get the only reasonable amount of sleep I'm able to achieve in the work week, I would have walked outside and thrown pine cones at my own fudging window, or something to that effect. You should cite a local ordinance for reasonable noise levels at that point. I used to get woken up every Wednesday after working overnights and just falling asleep because the management company that ran my apartment complex was run by someone who was clearly not an early adopter of this newfangled phone thing. I was also not able to speak to her in person, even though she almost lost me the house that I was buying because responding to phone calls and emails in any span of time shorter than weeks is too hard. Her name was Susan, and my contempt for her is unmatched in intensity. Alright, that's where I'm going to leave today's episode. We're going to continue with the Surface Laptop Amazon story tomorrow. That's going to be a really good one. And all the rest of the comments, because this is Screw HOA, Just No HOA, this subreddit, this thread, this comment section is perfect. He continues to describe all the events that happened and the backstories of all those emails in the first part. And I think there's more emails that might get covered, I'm not completely sure. But yeah. If I had covered everything in this comment section plus that other story, this would probably be an hour-long episode, and I don't think my vocal cords can handle that today. This has been Story Markee. I'm going to throw you to outro Markee now. Alright guys, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to tell me what you thought about it down in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel also, don't forget to subscribe. It would really help out with my channel growth. And also, a huge shout out to my channel patrons and members. I just love you guys and thank you for supporting me on this journey. If you guys are new to the channel and you'd like to support me, links are down below for the Patreon, or you can click the join button next to subscribe if you'd like to become a channel member. Alright guys, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.